Welcome to AI Paper Podcasts. Today we're looking at harnessing hype to teach empirical thinking, an experience with AI coding assistance by researchers from Saarland University, Marvin Weirich, Norman Pitek, Callistus Weiss, and Sven Appel. So teaching rigorous empirical research methods to computer science students is notoriously difficult because, well, it's usually perceived as incredibly dry.
Right, exactly. So to solve this, the researchers used the hype of AI coding assistants, like GitHub Copilot, as a Trojan horse. And the results were just record-breaking. They saw 168 applicants for only 18 spots.
Wow. And it caused this dramatic shift in how students view AI, right? They went from blind trust to realizing that AI actually makes unexpected or incorrect code suggestions over 60% of the time.
Yeah, which is huge. So the big takeaway for you, the AI researchers and ML engineers building these tools, is that if you want to teach users to critically evaluate your models, you really have to let them test the tools themselves through hands-on empirical study.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the phenomenon the paper highlights as the root cause here is resume-driven development.
Oh yeah, resume-driven development.
Yeah, where developers are basically drawn to trendy tools just to signal their employability. It's not about whether the tool is actually suitable for a task. It's like buying a multi-$1,000 commercial espresso machine for the office kitchen.
Right.
Everyone wants to put it on the company brochure, but nobody actually knows how to pull a shot, so they just make a mess. And everyone is still drinking bad coffee.
Yeah, they're just drinking bad coffee, but looking cool doing it. And that's exactly what's happening with large language models right now. As an ML engineer, you have to understand that the hype cycle around the tools you build is critical.
Because the expectations are totally skewed.
Exactly. User expectations are often vastly disconnected from the model's actual capabilities. And the researchers at Saarland University noticed this exact behavioral pattern.
With the students?
Yeah. The traditional empirical methods course, the one teaching vital concepts like, study design, hypothesis formation, reasoning from data, it usually gets a pretty lukewarm reception. The median for seminar applications was just 25 students.
Just 25?
Yeah, just 25. But by wrapping the necessary scientific vegetables of empirical science in the trending topic of AI coding assistants, they sort of hacked the students' motivations.
Oh, I love that. The authors refer to this strategy as putting a bit of sugar on the broccoli.
Yes.
The dense, abstract concepts of study design are the broccoli, and the AI hype is the sweetener.
Right, the stuff nobody wants to eat. Yeah. There was actually a revealing quote in the paper from a student who caught onto the tactic mid-course. They said, "I just wanted to try Copilot, and now I'm doing a user study."
That's hilarious. They got tricked.
Totally. The instructors noted they felt a little caught in that moment, but it proved the bait and switch worked.
So how did they actually execute this bait and switch once the students were in the door?
Well, they started with 3 90-minute hands-on sessions.
Yeah.
And the goal was to shatter the illusion of AI infallibility right away. So they did code generation, code explanation, and refactoring, and debugging.
And the data from that first session on code generation, detailed in Table 1, is fascinating because they split the students into a without AI group and a with AI group, right?
Right. And in Task 1, the without AI group, the humans, actually had a higher completion rate. It was 71% versus 50% for the AI group.
Wait, really? The human-only team beat the AI team?
Yeah, in Task 1. But then in Task 2, the dynamic completely inverted. The with AI group crushed it. They had a 60% completion rate compared to just 13% for the humans.
Wow, that is a massive swing. But wait, I have to push back on what the students reported next, because despite the human team beating the AI team handily in Task 1, 100% of the students across both tasks claimed the AI made the task easier.
Yeah, every single one.
Every single one. If the AI is breaking the code or failing to complete the task half the time, why does every user report feeling more productive? Are developers just conflating typing fast with actually solving the problem?
What's fascinating here is that you've hit on the exact cognitive dissonance the researchers were targeting. Human intuition regarding productivity in the age of AI is highly flawed.
So it feels like you're doing more.
Exactly. You watch a block of code magically appear on screen, and your brain registers progress because the physical labor of typing has been eliminated.
Even if the code is absolute garbage.
Right. Because the self-reported error rates tell a completely different story. The survey data show that 60 to 63% of the time, students admitted the AI provided incorrect code completions.
And wasn't it like 38 to 50% of the time the completions were entirely unexpected?
Yeah, exactly. And the qualitative feedback captures that friction perfectly. One student noted, "I tried commenting while Copilot was editing. Bad idea. The edit didn't make any sense."
Oh, man. So when an LLM injects unexpected logic, you have to stop, read the generated code, understand the hallucination, and then basically rewrite it anyway.
Right. If the AI introduces errors 60% of the time, you aren't actually more productive, you're just failing at a faster rate.
That makes total sense.
And the instructors anticipated this. They provided a test suite, suspecting that the students coding without AI would develop a deeper semantic understanding of the code base.
Oh, so they'd miss fewer hidden edge cases than the people just skimming generated code.
Exactly. Experiencing that cognitive dissonance, the feeling of being highly productive while generating broken code, it creates a psychological vulnerability.
Interesting.
Because once an engineer proves to themselves that their gut feeling about a tool is statistically wrong, the resistance to rigorous measurement just vanishes. They realize objective metrics are the only way to evaluate their workflow.
So that realization is the catalyst that shifts the students from passive AI consumers to active AI scientists. Because their intuition failed them, they needed an objective framework.
Yeah, which perfectly primed them to design their own 25 to 30-minute comparative controlled experiments.
And the constraints placed on these experiments were pretty severe, right?
Very severe, and intentionally so. The students were required to design the study, pilot it twice with peers, present their methodology in a 12-minute talk, and author a 15-page paper.
A 15-page paper. That is a lot of work for a class they thought was just going to be playing with Copilot.
It is a ton of work.
Yeah.
But these constraints force them to narrow their focus. They had to move from broad, subjective questions like, is Copilot good, to very specific, testable hypotheses.
And the scope of their inquiries ranged widely. You had highly technical investigations like testing the extent to which GitHub Copilot generates secure and correct API implementations using FastAPI and PostgreSQL.
Super specific.
Yeah. And on the flip side, you had educational questions about whether AI coding tools help novice programmers learn a new language. But the authors stressed that the most vital learning phase was what they called the evolution of study designs.
Right, the evolution. Because running those two mandatory pilot iterations forced the students to confront the reality of experimental research. They quickly discovered their initial designs were just way too broad.
So they had to simplify things.
Drastically. They had to reduce the complexity of the coding tasks and control for massive confounding variables that they hadn't even anticipated.
I want to dig into those confounding variables. I mean, explain how a student's experimental design actually falls apart during a pilot test.
Well, consider human variability. A student might design a seemingly objective test to see if Copilot generates secure database queries. But when they run the pilot, one peer is a senior developer who writes highly specific, context-rich prompts.
And the other is a junior.
Yeah, the other is a novice who just types, build database. The novice gets garbage code, and the senior gets functional code.
Oh, wow. So the variable isn't the model's capability at all.
No, the variable is the human's prompting skill. Suddenly, the student realizes their data is measuring human experience, not AI performance.
So what does this all mean for the ML engineers listening to this deep dive? Like, why should a team building state-of-the-art foundation models care about the methodological struggles of undergrad students?
Because it highlights a massive blind spot in our industry. We evaluate LLMs using automated benchmark scores, like HumanEval, which just tests if a model can generate a functionally correct Python snippet in a vacuum.
Right.
But evaluating AI coding assistants is fundamentally a problem of human-computer interaction, or HCI.
Let's expand on that. Because if an ML team celebrates a new model hitting state-of-the-art on HumanEval, why might that not translate to the actual end user?
Well, a model that scores flawlessly on a benchmark might actually reduce productivity in the real world if the interface is flawed, or if the latency disrupts the developer's flow state.
Or if the developers just don't know how to prompt it.
Exactly. Or as the students discovered, if human developers lack the domain knowledge to verify the generated outputs, human variability is the biggest threat to validity in software engineering research.
That is so true.
You can build the most capable neural network in the world, but if the HCI layer fails to account for human psychology and prompting variability, the tool is essentially useless in production. And the students learned this firsthand.
So they experienced the reality of HCI, they choked down the methodological broccoli, but we need to look at the post-seminar survey to see if this pedagogical experiment actually produced long-term empirical thinkers.
Yeah, and the survey data from the 10 students who completed it shows a really profound mindset shift. They transitioned from viewing AI as an infallible magic wand to recognizing its practical, systemic limitations.
And a recurring theme was the realization that the AI provided answers, but it rarely provided actual insights.
Yes, answers, not insights,
Mm.
which is a crucial distinction for any developer.
One survey respondent even called the seminar a wake-up call, right? Because they realized they were becoming dangerously reliant on AI generation.
Yeah. And another admitted they weren't interested in research initially, but conducting the study made them deeply curious about empirical evaluation.
Which totally validates the author's core findings. Hype operates as a really powerful pedagogical catalyst when you harness it correctly.
Absolutely. Integrating technical skills with research methodology in a dual-purpose seminar makes both subjects more relevant. Most importantly, giving users ownership of the inquiry forces them to really internalize the results.
But we do need to address a significant limitation highlighted in the paper regarding the collateral damage of hype. The seminar accepted 18 students, but only 13 actually finished the course.
Yeah, and the authors are remarkably transparent about this risk. Hype inevitably amplifies misaligned expectations.
Because some portion of those 18 students enrolled purely to play with a shiny new toy.
Exactly.
And once the novelty wore off and they realized the curriculum demanded rigorous experimental design, peer reviews, and mathematical analysis, they just abandoned ship.
When you leverage a trending topic to drive engagement, you must be ruthlessly transparent about the underlying rigor required. Without that transparency, you suffer high initial engagement followed by steep attrition when the actual work begins.
That makes a lot of sense. Let me ask a highly practical question for the technical leaders listening. Does this research suggest that when an engineering team adopts a new enterprise AI tool, the standard onboarding tutorial is the wrong approach?
Oh, totally.
Like, should engineering managers intentionally challenge their teams to try and break the tool in a controlled empirical setting instead?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, absolutely.
Wow.
Treating your developers as active, skeptical investigators of AI rather than passive consumers will fundamentally change the security and robustness of your code base.
Because a standard tutorial just reinforces the hype, doesn't it? It only shows the happy path where the tool works perfectly.
Precisely. If you hand a team an AI assistant and promise it will double their output, they will blindly accept its suggestions to meet that expectation.
Right.
But if you hand them the exact same assistant and say, we need to rigorously test where this architecture fails against our specific microservices, they will actively probe its boundaries.
They build an accurate mental model of its limitations.
Exactly. And that empirical mindset prevents LLM hallucinations from silently becoming catastrophic production bugs.
So as technical builders, it is insufficient to just train and deploy state-of-the-art models. You must actively engineer empirical thinking into the workflows of the users adopting your tools.
Yeah, because if the human deploying the code lacks an empirical framework, the technological hype will simply accelerate the rate at which flawed, unverified logic is pushed into the wild.
You cannot separate the capability of a foundation model from the psychology of the human operating it. Cultivating that empirical skepticism is the only defense mechanism against the distortions of the AI hype cycle.
Exactly.
Which leads me to a final, slightly mind-bending thought to leave you with. In this Saarland University study, human beings used empirical methodologies to evaluate the output of AI models. And the instructors used hype as a Trojan horse to trick human brains into eating their methodological broccoli.
A highly effective strategy for the current paradigm, for sure.
But as the industry rapidly advances toward autonomous AI agents, systems capable of generating, testing, and deploying their own code without human intervention, how long until we have to rely on other AI models to design and run the empirical studies evaluating the first AI?
Oh, wow. That is a wild thought.
Right. If human intuition is already failing us and human variability ruins the validity of our benchmarks, will AI eventually become the only empirical scientist capable of objectively grading itself? Like, will the AI have to eat its own broccoli?
That is definitely something to ponder as you build the next big thing.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.